You're not avoiding conflict, you're protecting your ego. And before you push back, I did this for years, not because I was a bad man, but because conflict threatened the story I needed to believe about myself. I still struggle with it. Most men don't avoid conflict because they don't care. They avoid it because conflict attacks their identity. The good guy, the calm one. So when she brings something up, your body tightens, your mind shifts into defense, you explain, you minimize, or you disappear completely. Not to hurt her, not because you don't care, but because protecting your image feels safer than staying present. And here's what most men never realize. The moment you protect your ego, she stops feeling your presence. Not because you're wrong, but because you've left. There were times I could only listen up to the point where my image as a good man wasn't threatened. I told myself I was keeping the peace while she stayed unheard. I said I didn't want conflict while quietly building my case. Facts, timelines, explanations, all the ways I could be right without actually being present. There's something most men don't realize about the way they stay calm in conflict. My calm wasn't peace, it was pressure. On the outside I looked composed. Inside I was boiling. I thought staying quiet meant I was in control, but I wasn't present. I was performing because the moment I felt misunderstood, my body it tightened, and that's when listening stopped. In this video, I want to show you why ego does this so automatically and how to stay present without collapsing into shame or defense. I told myself I was being empathetic, supportive, understanding, but I was listening through my ego. I validated what my ego could accept and quietly rejected everything that challenged how I saw myself. I wasn't trying to understand her pain. I was trying to prove my intentions. Why can't you see my perspective? What about me? Don't I matter too? These words sound reasonable, but they weren't coming from presence. They were coming from fear. The moment I felt attacked, my mind shifted. I stopped listening and started building my case. Facts, evidence, proof that I was misunderstood. Not not to save the relationship, but to save myself from shame. And without even realizing it, I used my kindness as evidence. Look at how much I give you. Look how patient I am. Look how hard I'm trying. I weaponized goodness. And I made it unsafe for her to want anything from me at all. Here's what I was really protecting myself from: the feeling that even doing my best, I still wasn't enough. That wasn't true, but it was the story my ego clung to, because letting go of that felt like collapse, and eventually the collapse came anyway. Ego doesn't crave control because it's strong. It craves control because it's afraid. Afraid of being seen incorrectly. Afraid of being exposed. Afraid that if the truth lands, the image won't survive it. So ego steps in and says, let me handle this. Let me explain. Let, let me clarify. Let, let me smooth this over. But the moment the ego takes over, love leaves the room, because love doesn't control, love stays. Presence is simple, but it's not easy. Presence is listening without rehearsing your defense. Presence is staying in your body while your chest tightens and your story starts screaming to be protected. Presence is allowing her experience to exist without needing to correct it. That's not weakness. That's emotional leadership. Taking accountability doesn't mean turning yourself into the villain forever. It doesn't mean drowning in shame. It means being honest enough to say, I hurt you. I missed you. I made this about me. And staying present after you say it. Not to be forgiven, not to be validated, but because the truth matters more than your image. That shift cost me her trust. Trust I'm still rebuilding. It hurt like hell. But sitting in that truth without excuses is what finally freed me. Most men will never get here. Not because they don't want to, but because facing the truth feels like losing who they are. And the truth is simple. She isn't the problem. She's the mirror. She's showing you the places where you learn to protect yourself. Instead of stay present. That doesn't make you a bad man. It makes you an untrained one. Real growth doesn't come from getting it right. It comes from staying. When your image wants to run. From choosing presence over control. From being willing to say, I don't need to be the good guy right now. I need to be here. That's where connection lives. Not in perfection, not in performance, but in truth. Love doesn't ask you to protect who you think you are. It asks you to be real enough to stay, even when it costs you the story.